When you play as much Minecraft as we do, it's nice to save time where you can so you can focus on the important stuff. And that's what we'll see today. And hey, the YouTube genie wants to test your reaction time. So whenever you see that red subscribe button on your screen, whack that sub button below underneath the video. Ready, go. Everyone's seen this before, the classic cobblestone generator. But while it's iconic, it's not exactly the fastest. So if you're looking for a better return on your skyblock profits, this format might be worth a try. With this altar-shaped setup, we not only get 1 block per cycle, but we get 8 instead. And folks, that'll let us walk the perimeter and essentially mine around the clock without having any lulls in the cycle. Or hey, you could even enlist a couple of friends and have this work at full capacity on the multiplayer server. Getting to the nether is a crucial part of any Minecraft playthrough, which is why speedrunners are always fascinated with getting there as quickly as possible, leading of course to this method for building the portal. And while that clearly works, it's not the easiest for a simpleton like me to grasp. So instead, this option is a better alternative for our slowpokes. Here, we instead dig out a pocket to build the portal swiftly underground, which might not be the most optimal, but trust me, it's a lot faster than messing up the real method and having to start over. By this point, we've talked plenty about how important it is to zombify and then cure your villagers. And while that's true, I don't want to overlook the cost of curing all of those Squidwards for your trading hall. So to help out on the potion side, this is a simple fix. See, all that we need is for the zombie villager to have the weakness potion effect. But it doesn't have to just be done with a splash potion. So instead, why not brew up a lingering potion and do this with weakness arrows instead, giving us a lot more chances for the same potion. If you've ever needed to drain a bunch of water or lava, you've likely noticed that doing this all by hand is a real pain. So to cut back on that hassle and do it in style, this simple piston setup is all that you need. Using a quick clock like this one made of observers, we can keep the piston pushing fast enough to knock multiple sand into place before they fall. And let me tell you, that'll be a big help for any future ocean monuments that you plan on draining. If you've ever experienced the pain of losing your base, you know it's no laughing matter. So to avoid losing all those hours of work yet again, this is a simple fix to try. First, picture something you'll always have on your inventory. Well, the first thing to come to mind is probably your special pickaxe or sword. So in that case, why not just name your main item the coordinates of your base so that you always have them handy? I mean, at least for me, I'm a lot more likely to forget my compass than I am my trusty Fortune 3 pickaxe. So that's no brainer. And hey, if you add mending to it as well, that'll be even more security for your stuff. Exploring the new caves that generated in 1.18 is a real treat. But while they're fun to explore, exploring them safely is a different story. So to make it to the base of that ravine with both your legs intact, weaving vines are the best answer. See, with these, we can hang one off of the roof and then bone meal it to reach the bottom. And that not only gives us a way to reach the base of the cave safely, but it also offers easy access back to the top. And that kind of dual purpose can be a real lifesaver. Building in Minecraft is a tough task, and building something that looks natural is even tougher. So to make your island project look like an organic world generation, we need to think up a new angle. And no, that's not just using the naturalized command in world edit, but rather, we're gonna do something that's possible in vanilla. And that answer lies with these grass and mycelium blocks. See, both of these like to spread to dirt nearby, but in very different ways. Meaning that if we place both of them on a field of dirt, then we can essentially watch the game terraform for you in real time. And then once that's done, we've got a perfectly natural looking shape to build your island base off of. Building a floating house, an airship, or even a UFO are all great projects to try. But when you're building them, they all come with the same problems. That is, when you need to build freestanding blocks in the sky, it can be real annoying to replace the ones if you mess up. So to save yourself from doing this whole song and dance just to fix it, it's worth your while to just do this instead. See, all it takes is pressing both the right and left click button at the same time to change out a block like that. And what's better still is that this can be used quickly to change the orientation of a mid-air stair, which is definitely appreciated. Getting a ton of blocks in survival is not easy to do, especially early game. But when you want to build that big tower or pillar for your build, that's going to require a lot of blocks whether we like it or not. So to play the easy route and cut down on both mining and placing all the cobblestone, why not opt for a few buckets instead? This way, all we need is a ring of lava blocks in the desired shape, and we can use a technique called lava casting to earn ourselves a pillar in a matter of minutes. And for this little effort, that's a pretty solid deal. If you've ever tried to get a skeleton to hit a creeper, then you know it's not an easy task, but it's a necessary one if we want to fill out our music disc collection, so we'll have to get creative. And luckily, this user has the right idea. See, Minecraft counts assists the same way that it does kills, meaning if we have a skeleton shoot a piece of TNT, ignite it, and then that kills the creeper, we'll get the music disc the same way. Simple as that. Finding a buried treasure map is cause for a celebration, but locating the buried treasure on that map is something of a chore. And most of the time, I feel like I need to excavate half of the coast before I finally find the thing. So to simplify that task down and make it quicker to reach our goal, this is a helpful guide to keep in mind. See, after you align yourself so that the white indicator points at the bottom of the red X, then all we need to do is move forward so that just 1 pixel of white peeks out underneath, like so. Which might seem awkward, but from here, the chest will always be exactly 1 block north of you. It's always the items that I forget to farm that I seem to need a lot of. And for all the different dyed blocks that I use, flowers can become a hot commodity. So if you're in the same boat and you just want a quick boost on orange dye or whatever you need, then this is an essential tidbit. See, in Bedrock, if you use bone meal on specific flour, then it'll spawn more of the same type nearby, letting us skip the frolicking and just focus on stockpiling. Large-scale projects are a lot of fun to build in Minecraft, but without a big tool like World Edit, that big scale can start to seem daunting. So to simplify that problem and save some time, it's worth enlisting some command blocks like so. See, by laying out a slice of your build in a bounding box like this, we can save it as a structure and have it placed whenever we hold a specific item. That way, we turn building block by block into essentially painting the mountain instead. And believe me, that's a lot more fun. In a game called Minecraft, you're gonna be spending a lot of your time mining. I mean, what did you expect? So to speed up that trip in the caves, it's worth keeping this in mind. See, on Bedrock, it's actually true that if you click each block while mining it, instead of holding down the button, you'll mine substantially faster. And while that might seem like a marginal difference on a small job, this can really start to add up on a big project. And why does this happen? I'm not quite sure, but the same thing does happen in Java Edition's creative mode, so I guess it's a common enough problem. Looting desert temples is a fun pastime for sure, but what if you're trying to get the valuables without wasting your precious time? Well, that's where this method comes in. See, while most of us would just spend the seconds to individually loot each and every one of these chests, this user's method is a lot more straightforward. And instead, we use the TNT from the trap below to blow up the chamber and the chest with it. And while that sounds dangerous, it's worth noting that by standing in the pit down here, it'll let us survive with barely a scratch sustained. And afterwards, we'll not only have all that treasure in our inventory, but a ton of blocks to build our way out as well. I don't think I'm breaking any new ground by saying that netherite is a worthwhile resource to have, which makes finding ancient debris something of a necessity. And to do that, we'll take all the help that we can get. Like this, for instance. See, while Mojang doesn't intend for us to be able to see well under lava, all we need is a fire resistance potion and a slab or grindstone to trick the system. The story goes that we get underneath, position our hitbox just right, and then score prime view of the stuff below. And since ancient debris can spawn under lava, that means we get a prime chance to find some of these pieces in a pinch. Fighting the Wither can be a fun challenge to take on, but having to fight one for the 6th time today is not as much. So to handle that repetition with a bit more grace, we'll need to take a trip to the end. From there, we can use the end portal exit for an easy Wither killer. See, since we can spawn Withers horizontally, if we lay out the blocks in such a way that we can essentially have it get trapped in the bedrock fountain, from which point it either suffocates by itself, or we can use a smite axe and handle it no problem. Whether you're mining down in the caves, digging up a bunch of sand, or chopping down a bunch of trees, breaking blocks is inescapable, but we don't have to be boring about it. And in fact, using a setup like this machine, we can handle our chores with both style and speed. See, for a while now, TNT has had a 100% drop rate, meaning that any block that we explode is going to be ours to keep. And that makes a simple flying machine design like this really useful, since we can then launch a TNT projectile and then keep it moving on as planned, letting us get whatever we need, whether that's diamonds, logs, or even sand from a desert at a much faster pace. Villagers are a valuable asset to put to work in your world, but when you're moving them to the trading hall, it's clear that they're not going to be the most cooperative. And honestly, that's an understatement. So to more easily move these fellas around, it's safe to say that Bedrock has a simpler option. See, the way that minecarts work here, all we need to do is place a bit of railroad track next to their bed, and then when they're sleeping, we can roll by a cart and pick them up. And folks, while this might seem like kidnapping, it frankly is. But I'd venture that this is an ends justify the means kind of deal. And in my eyes, that's a good enough justification. And with that, folks, have a good one, alright?